All right. Hopefully this is okay, it is being recorded. Greetings, everyone. Wait, I already started the broadcast. Okay, cool. So this is the second run of this here webinar. I did it yesterday morning, Pacific time, 8 a.m. And I want to welcome everyone. I have put up a poll asking if people are using Chocolatey. I'm going to ask another poll later. I'm going to see if the pain points related to manually or the pain points related to configuring and managing software updates at scale, if they resonate. So I'm going to be interested in seeing if we nailed it there. But I'm going to give people just a couple minutes to enter, right? People may have been leaving from previous meetings, so we'll start a couple minutes after and then dive into the content here. 100% of the attendees here have voted on the poll, so okay, looks like we're off to a good start in at least 100% of the people who are here today have voted on that poll. So I'll give it just another minute and then can you all see me? Sorry, I keep looking to this screen here because that's, I have two screens going, and the primary one is actually up here, and this is kind of the secondary one. It's gonna have my notes on it. But I will be, 90% have voted. Okay, so more people are showing up and they haven't yet voted. All right, now we're at 100%. 50-50 not yet using Chocolatey. Yesterday was like 90% yes using Chocolatey. So that in that regard was pretty interesting. But this is quite a bit more like a group of people who maybe are interested in learning about Chocolatey. They don't have that experience quite yet. So very interesting. Actually, if you can hold on for just a sec, I'll be right back, and then we'll start. All right, that should be enough coffee for the day. All right, so I have killed my webcam because I'm going to dive now into my slide deck. I think we're ready to go. 12, everyone who is going to vote on this poll has done so. So I'm going to manage the poll. Wait, close the poll. That's what I'm trying to do. Cool. Let's dive into the slide deck. So I'm going to minimize my. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. I'm going to minimize the this here thing. Wait, I got to keep that there. So okay. So the topic of discussion today is Chocolatey for the enterprise. Looks like about 50% of people use Chocolatey and 50% are maybe going to learn why they ought to. So we'll just dive on in. Looks like I need to redo this. Okay, so Chocolatey from the webinar, or Chocolatey for the enterprise webinar. So today's agenda, we are going to talk about the pain points as we understand them for Windows systems administrators, especially those in larger enterprises that do have to do things like create and maintain software updates for over 1,000 different workstations, the different software products and packages that are used within those. How Chocolatey is a very viable but imperfect solution for those challenges, what Chocolatey is, how it works, what are community packages in Chocolatey, 3 risks of using community packages, how you can distribute software using Chocolatey, and then how ProGet, our tool, can be helpful in closing the gaps when we say Chocolatey is a very viable but imperfect solution for the challenges of maintaining 1,000 Windows machines at scale. ProGet can help and close those gaps that Chocolatey fills quite a bit of. So, that is going to be Chocolatey for air-gapped and offline environments. So I'm Mike. I'm the COO of Inedo. I've been with the company for quite a while. I work with the enterprise ProGet users who are already clients of ours, as well as the users of our other tool, Buildmaster, which is a CI/CD tool pipeline. I work with our new client opportunities. When people write in and say, I'd like a demo, or we're interested in learning more, we might want to, purchase your software. I work with them. I also work with our marketing team in terms of some of the cool things we have coming up in terms of what webinars should we be doing, what kind of guides, how-to guides or content should we be creating, what sort of advertising should we be doing, stuff like that. In my personal life, I am a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so if you are a fellow traveler, find me on LinkedIn, we can definitely connect. And I have 2 dogs, 2 rescue dogs, pit bulls, 2-Bit and Callista. They are very sweet, and in fact, one of them is butting his head up against my office window right now because he is used to being in here around lunchtime Pacific. So that's me. Find me on LinkedIn. We're definitely happy to connect with anyone and everyone. My name is Mike Goulis, so you can find me pretty easily. So let's dive into our understood pain points for a Windows sysadmin and how the dilemma of their workload creates vulnerable, half-baked solutions, right? And we say half-baked lovingly, right? So, some of the issues include, right, that you need to control who can download and install what software and what version. Manually doing so is a lot of work and infeasible at scale. Automating while maintaining flexibility and ensuring that it's fail-proof, user-friendly, and easy to hand off to team members is very challenging. And a common outcome from these challenges, the culmination of them, is half-baked solutions, which are marked by chaotic processes, constant troubleshooting, and this leads to increased cyber risks, regulatory penalties, operational inefficiencies, and financial losses, leaving no time to address root cause problems or ensure security, consistency, and compliance. So what are some of these challenges? I'm going to list off about 5 of them. The first is that manual software installation across 1,000+ machines, if you're an enterprise size org, is extremely time consuming and labor intensive. So if you imagine an IT team trying to install software on over 1,000 machines manually, each setup takes time, repeating the same tasks over every machine. The team doing this is rushing from one desktop to another, juggling installations, updates, and config check. It's a massive time investment. So now if you multiply this by each new software rollout or updated, you end up with an exhausting cycle that consumes valuable hours and energy. Chocolatey, which we'll talk about in just a minute, helps break this cycle by automating installations and updates across all devices in one go. Another challenge is that manual processes introduce the risk of human error. So if you picture an IT team trying to deploy software manually, only to find that each machine may have a slightly different configuration, that is a common instance, right? Some machines are missed, some updates don't go through, and inconsistencies start to emerge. Outdated versions linger, leading to the organization vulnerable to potential compatibility issues and security threats. So without automation, staying up to date is like playing a constant game of catch up. When software falls out of date, security vulnerabilities creep in. So if you picture a security analyst frantically running through update reports only to discover a critical update was missed on hundreds of devices. Security depends on timely updates, but manual intervention makes this nearly impossible. One of the biggest challenges is visibility. When installations are manual, it's difficult to know the exact status of each device, what's installed, what's outdated, what's missing. So if you imagine the IT team trying to track software across every device with a checklist, the process is chaotic and devices slip through the cracks. So imagine a technician exhausted, buried under piles of paperwork and a constant stream of requests for software installations and updates. There's no time to address high-level issues or optimize systems. They're simply trying to keep up with the workload. Burnout sets in as the manual tasks overwhelm IT resources, stretching them thin and creating operational inefficiencies that affect the entire organization. So those are some of the challenges we have found with the attempting to maintain 1,000+ workstations for with manual processes in place. Now I'm going to talk about the fact that while automation certainly does help, it does also introduce some challenges and complexity as well. So some of these are, like, for instance, initial configuration requirements for automation, right? Automation requires a thorough initial setup. Scripts must be carefully written, permissions configured, and network settings adjusted to ensure compatibility. Unlike manual installations, this process demands extensive planning and technical expertise, turning what would be simple one-time setups into complex foundational tasks. Every setting and command has to be correct from the start, adding a layer to pressure to make sure nothing is missed. It also doesn't help that there are over 20 installer formats and many archive formats like zips and 7-zip. It tends to also add a level of complexity. So IT teams face the challenge of managing and troubleshooting scripts that dictate every step of the installation process. Instead of resolving individual installation issues directly on each machine, they are now handling intricate code. Debugging these scripts can be time-consuming and technically demanding, adding complexity and requiring skills that may differ from traditional hands-on installation. An error in an automation script can propagate across all targeted machines, creating problems that are widespread and difficult to isolate as well. While a mistake in a manual setup affects only one device, an error in an automated script can impact the entire network. IT teams are faced with diagnosing and correcting errors that have multiplied, making recovery more complex and critical. Automation often standardizes installations, applying the same setup to all machines, regardless of hardware variations or unique configurations. This approach can overlook specific system requirements, leading to performance issues or compatibility conflicts. Standardization is efficient, but doesn't account for these nuances, which could result in subtle but impactful differences across devices. And finally, automated deployments use significant network bandwidth and processing power, sometimes impacting other ongoing operations. As installations proceed, they can strain network resources, potentially slowing down regular operations or consuming system capacity at critical times. This added load requires careful scheduling and resource management to avoid disruptions. So again, these are all of the challenges that we have found from, and we have users using Chocolatey and ProGet, our tool, in combination. We have many of them. We sourced a lot of these pain points from our understanding of what they talk about their life was like prior to Chocolatey and then prior to ProGet, having Chocolatey but not having ProGet. So with that, as I mentioned before, the common outcome is sort of half-baked solutions, right? So we're talking about scripts that sort of work, but they're scalable, or they're fragile and unscalable, right? Many organizations start with quick fixes, writing scripts to automate repetitive tasks. And while these tasks might solve an immediate problem, they're often poorly maintained, not well documented, and fragile when scaled. Imagine a script written for one environment failing as soon as there's a slight change in configuration. It creates more problems than it solves over time. Another challenge is, of course, a mix of manual and automated processes that lead to chaos, right? So inconsistent practices arise when automation is implemented partially, leaving some tasks manual. This hybrid approach often results in duplication of effort, miscommunications, and inefficiencies. It's like trying to automate part of the factory line while still relying on workers to fill the gaps. Errors compound and bottlenecks form. So another issue is security, consistency, and compliance often fall through the cracks. When systems aren't unified or controlled, it's easy to lose track of software versions, security updates, and even licensing compliance. This exposes organizations to vulnerabilities, increasing the risk of breaches and non-compliance with regulations. This also leads to constant troubleshooting instead of efficient operations, right? System admins often find themselves in a firefighting mode, chasing after errors and failures caused by incomplete or mismatched processes instead of focusing on strategic improvements. They're stuck reacting to issues day in and day out. And finally, there is no time for solving root cause problems due to firefighting day-to-day issues. So the constant troubleshooting creates a vicious cycle. Teams don't have the bandwidth to address with underlying problems that cause these issues in the first place. This results in wasted time. Whoa, went too fast. This results in, looks like I missed it, right? This results in wasted time, frustration, and a system that becomes more fragile over time, compounding the challenges. So I'm going to put another poll out there and see, does this seem like something that, do these pain points resonate with your experience? Hit the wrong button. Now I've gone and lost. So, okay, 43% have voted. 33% no. I would love if you can comment in the chat. Those who are saying no, these are the descriptions of the milieu our users were in, again, prior to discovering Chocolatey, and then some of it is with Chocolatey prior to ProGet, and some of it is just before they had Chocolatey or ProGet. Definitely do write in the chat or in the comments what is different. I definitely would love to hear that. So moving on, let's see, 60% voted. So it looks like I think I should be able to move on. Can you guys still see? I just moved advanced to it because sometimes it's a little goofy with when you try to continue on with the slideshow, but you have a poll open, it won't actually show the movement of the screen. If someone can just comment, you see the new slide that I've moved to, which says the ripple effect of a half-baked manager of software or half-baked management of software. If someone can just comment that the screen, the slide deck is still moving forward while the poll is still open, that'd be great. Let me confirm here. I can only see the quick poll still at the poll. Okay, it looks like I'm gonna have to close the poll, but 67% of y'all said the pain points I described resonate. 33% say no. Definitely would, again, love to see in the chat those who voted no, what's different, right? So I'm gonna close the poll and just say you can hear from them. So I now have a new slide. I'm going to go back one slide. Come on. I'm going to go back to the previous slide. The common outcome, half-baked solutions. Now I'm moving forward. The ripple effect. If y'all can just let me know that we are moving forward, then that would be most helpful. Okay, I'm just going to assume that now that I close the poll, that is the case. Okay, so going back, the ripple effect of half-baked management software. Again, 67% of y'all said the pain point resonate, 33% no. So the ripple effect of half-baked management, right? So here are some of the considerations. Increased risk of cyber attacks. When software is installed without IT oversight, outdated versions or vulnerable dependencies often go unnoticed. For example, a single unpatched library used in one part of the system can serve as an entry point for attackers. From there, they can escalate privileges or inject ransomware. Shadow IT exacerbates this problem when employees install unauthorized tools, and these applications may not be secured or updated. Without visibility into what's installed, IT teams can't mitigate these risks, leaving the organization open to breaches and financial losses. There's also the risk of regulatory penalties for failing to secure sensitive information, right? Many industries such as healthcare, finance, and retail have strict regulations around data protections, or for example, HIPAA, GDPR, PCI, DSS, etc. Unapproved or software or unpatched vulnerabilities can create compliance gaps. These can lead to audits uncovering violations of these regulations. For instance, a hospital that uses outdated medical software could expose patient records to a breach, leading to severe fines and a loss of accreditation. Even the absence of proper documentation for software usage can result in penalties, making it clear how poor management directly leads to compliance issues. There are other non-compliance costs. So half-baked solutions often lack mechanisms to track licensing or usage, leading to unlicensed or unauthorized software being used across the org. During audits, software vendors or regulators can identify these violations, leading to fines or forced settlements. A lack of control over software versions also means that licenses may expire without renewal, creating legal and financial liabilities. The fallout from these audits isn't just financial, it's also disruptive, requiring IT teams to dedicate significant time and effort to clean up these issues retroactively. Operational inefficiencies. So when software environments are inconsistent across teams, compatibility issues are inevitable. For example, a development team using one version of a tool while the production environment relies on another creates deployment failures. These failures lead to downtime, which impacts customer-facing services. Whether it's an e-commerce website going offline or a logistics system failing to deliver on time, emergency fixes and patches might resolve immediate problems, but they consume IT budgets and manpower that could have been spent on innovation. This efficiency becomes a vicious cycle as resources are diverted to firefighting, long-term planning, and process improvements are sidelined, perpetuating the problem. So, and this is where Chocolatey comes in, and Chocolatey solves or helps with many of these problems. So Chocolatey, in our parlance, is a very viable but imperfect solution for the challenges that we've presented today. So what is Chocolatey? Chocolatey is a Windows package manager that automates software installation, updates, and configuration management through a command line interface. But a question would be, who writes the script that automates the software installation, updates, and config management? The answer to that is that Chocolatey.org is an open source community providing pre-built packages enabling Windows sysadmins to automate software installation, updates, and configuration management without the need to write complex scripts. The Chocolatey community is essentially an open source community, just like NuGet, PyPI, or NPM. Community members contribute by developing and reviewing Chocolatey packages, meaning that each script undergoes multiple checks. This reduces the risk of errors that might otherwise be missed in a solo project. With Chocolatey employees acting as package maintainers of many of the community packages, many packages go through stricter quality and security checks. Just a side note, Chocolatey offers a central place to manage your licensed Chocolatey endpoints, but it's available in the paid version. So I'm now going to kind of show up. I'm now going to show you what Chocolatey kind of looks like. Well, first we'll say, here's how Chocolatey in the enterprise and best practices for software management. So as I mentioned earlier, Chocolatey addresses many challenges in automation, making software installation, updates, and config much easier. But that's just one side of the coin. So whether you're managing software manually or automatically, there are broader considerations like adhering to organizational policies for software and workstation management. If you choose automation, it's essential that scripts and script management align with your organization's rules and standards. Automation shouldn't just streamline processes, it should also support and reinforce your existing management practices. So it's actually pretty simple. It's probably something that you already do or consider doing. And it's quite simply control who downloads what and don't let everyone just download whatever they want. So with that, I can talk to you about how to achieve this with Chocolatey. So with Chocolatey, you can make all of this easier. You can curate and distribute approved packages, right? Just pick the Chocolatey packages that you want people to use, and then you have control over what's allowed. For larger teams or more detailed tracking, you can use Chocolatey Central Management, which is to say the paid version, to keep tabs on software across all devices. It's great for having a central dashboard. And finally, you can set up a self-service download for employees, either through the command line or with a GUI, so they get what they need without going off script. Chocolatey can make these best practices easy and smooth. So I want to just kind of show you real quick. I mentioned this earlier. This is kind of what Chocolatey looks like. It looks, the Chocolatey GUI looks a lot like this. It's basically like an app store, right? You just pick the different packages that are available, and you can kind of download them from there. Now, with that, while Chocolatey offers a lot of advantages for managing software, it is not a perfect solution for at scale, right? So one thing to keep in mind is that community packages, the ones that are shared openly, aren't always reliable or secure. Since they're created and maintained by the community, quality and security of these packages can vary, which means there's a level of risk when relying on them for critical systems. So let's go into the risks of community packages and Chocolatey for offline environments. First here, scripts and community packages might not be secure, right? Community packages are managed by the Chocolatey community. Chocolatey.org is not responsible for any security issues, and they are very clear about that in sort of quote unquote the fine print. Hold on, I do see a comment. I just want to make sure. Okay, so no one has seen, oh my gosh. Okay, no one has seen the slides. All right, well, yeah, I am showing the deck. Okay, it looks like when you turn a poll on, it kills your screen share. I'll go back real quick. This is what I was asking about this is what I was asking about a couple minutes back. Okay, so let's just go back real quick. I mean, I don't know, so, right, so this is just all I was showing, okay? Configures a Windows package. Just a definition of Chocolatey. Really, you're not missing much in the slide deck. We can send this out. I mean, not to say that you're not missing much, but I think, the talk track essentially told you what you need to know. I do want to show you, however, though, you can see the Chocolatey web, the sort of app store equivalent, where there's just all the different packages available. So this is all that there was. Yeah, you can see the slides now. Good. Okay, yeah, who would have thought you activate a poll and it just kills the screen, and then you actually have to manually turn it back on when you end the poll instead of it automatically turning the screen back on? But okay. Let's see here. So that's where we were, like the App Store. I was talking about the risk of community packages, right? And basically was just saying that scripts, the community packages are maintained by community members. The Chocolatey.org is not responsible for what's in the store, so to speak, and they're very clear about that. With that, right, your use of packages on this site means that you understand that the community packages are not supported or guaranteed in any way. And due to the nature of a public repository and unreliability due to distribution rights, these packages should not be used for organizational purposes either. So another risk is there is a potential for outdated or vulnerable dependencies. Community maintainers may not always keep their packages updated with the latest security patches, which can lead to risks from outdated dependencies that could be exploited by attackers. Updates are irregular, right? So some community packages are updated frequently, especially for popular software, but many receive updates only sporadically or when the maintainer has time, which can lead to outdated versions. Software authors are rarely involved, so many of the Chocolatey packages are maintained by community contributors rather than the original software authors. For instance, the Adobe Acrobat Reader DC package on Chocolatey itself is maintained by community members, not Adobe itself. An installer might not be secure or available. Chocolatey packages, it's important to remember, are just PowerShell scripts in zip files that download installers from websites. For example, PDF Reader from Adobe.com, an older version your organization uses, might become unavailable, or worse, it's old and an insecure version. So for big companies like Adobe, the risk of tampered installer files is lower because they usually have strong security measures in place. But for lesser known software, or if you're downloading an older version that your organization is licensed for, the risk increases. Older versions might lack recent security patches, and sources for those files may not be actively monitored, which can open the door to vulnerabilities. Since community packages don't go through strict validation, it's essential to verify those packages and their sources to protect your systems before using them in production. One thing to keep in mind with Chocolatey packages is the compliance side, especially when it comes to complex commercial licenses and unique open source licenses. When Chocolatey makes it super easy to install packages, that convenience can be a double-edged sword. It's so easy to install software that it's possible to overlook whether you're actually allowed to use certain packages in your organization. Some licenses have restrictions for commercial use, or they might require specific approvals, and installing without checking could accidentally lead to a breach of those agreements. So it's really important to have clear guidelines in place for what's allowed to ensure you're staying compliant. Another thing to be aware of is that Chocolatey.org has strict rate limiting policies. If your organization has a lot of devices or automated systems that are regularly pulling packages from Chocolatey.org, you could hit that limit pretty quickly. When that happens, Chocolatey.org might temporarily block access, meaning your entire organization could be unable to download or update packages for a while. And obviously, that's a killer on your productivity. So community packages don't cover everything. For some commercial software or specific versions, you might not find a community package, so you'll need an alternative approach. And for any in-house or custom software, there definitely won't be a community package available. So with all that in mind, the solution is first, don't blindly trust community packages. Check them by yourself to make sure they are really secure. 2, create your own Chocolatey packages. Set up a private Chocolatey repository to host your Chocolatey packages that users are authorized to install. This is what Chocolatey.org recommends as well, and it also provides users with a list of software they can use. And I'm going to explain how to do exactly that, right? So what the solution to some of the fixes we discussed are to privatize and internalize Chocolatey packages. So like I said, Chocolatey is an incredibly powerful tool for managing software installations and updates, especially at scale. It simplifies what could otherwise be a very complex and time-consuming process, but like many other tools, it's not perfect out of the box. Chocolatey provides a strong foundation, but it often needs a bit of additional support to fully meet the unique requirements of an enterprise environment. So how to privatize Chocolatey packages, right? Privatizing Chocolatey packages works similarly to privatizing permitted installer files to a shared drive. So just download the package file from chocolatey.org and upload it to your own repository. Users will then need to exchange the default package source from chocolatey.org to the private repository's web address. The package source is what the Chocolatey client uses to look for packages and can be changed with just a simple command. After that, users will only be able to access the packages you've privatized. However, as I mentioned earlier, only privatizing your Chocolatey packages isn't enough, right? Privatizing Chocolatey packages is a great start, but is not a complete solution for what we're talking about here. Remember that Chocolatey packages are not self-contained. They simply contain a script that downloads an installer file from the public internet. A repository with privatized only Chocolatey package is like having a wiki page with a list of public URLs that users can download software from. There's no guarantee that the installer files behind those URLs will still be available when users need them, or worse, that someone won't replace them with malware in the future. This is why you also need to internalize your private Chocolatey packages. So there's privatizing and then there's internalizing. We're going to show you both in just a second. So To ensure reliability and security, internalizing Chocolatey packages means stopping them from reaching out to the public internet for installer files. You can do this in one of two ways: embedding the installer file directly in the package, or privatizing the installer by hosting it on an internal server. Embedding works, but it's often better to privatize and host the installer files internally. This way, the packages remain small and are less likely to encounter performance issues. Plus, if users want to use the installer files without Chocolatey, they can access them directly on your internal server. If both the package script and installer file aren't on your private server, they're not fully under your control. By internalizing, you gain more reliability, especially when you need older software versions or work in restricted environments where internet access isn't an option. So now let's we're going to show you this action with a quick demo on internalizing a Chocolatey package and pointing to an internal server for secure, stable installations. So again, real quick, ProGet live demonstration. We're going to show you air-gapped environments with Chocolatey, and we're going to show you air-gapped environments with Chocolatey and ProGet. I'm actually going to kill this. I'm going to move from my second screen to, I'm going to pause real quick. I'm going to migrate this. I'm going to kill my second screen, and we're going to turn back on. Can someone confirm in the chat that they are, can someone confirm they are now seeing the UI of my ProGet? Oh, here we go. Yep, great. Okay, so I was using two monitors because I had a bunch of notes, and now I just want to use one monitor. So, okay, so we love to, when we demo ProGet, so the prerequisites for this are that I already downloaded the installer files. Those are in my downloads folder. And obviously a prerequisite is having Chocolatey installed, and then obviously having PowerShell on your machine and the ability to use it as an admin. So I already have those prerequisites set up, but when I demo ProGet, we always love to show how easy it is from scratch. So this is a absolutely fresh trial installation, and there's no feeds, there's no packages downloads, there's no assets, there's nothing. So I'm going to start by creating a new feed, and predictably it's going to be a Chocolatey feed. So I'm going to create a feed, connect to chocolatey.org. In future scenarios, you might have an unapproved and approved feed where management or an admin wants to be able to make sure that people can only use approved Chocolatey packages. Very powerful functionality that is useful for many teams, but I'm going to just stick with a single public Chocolatey feed, which is to say that everyone is allowed to use or download whatever packages they want. So yeah, we want to scan for vulnerabilities. We want to detect open source licenses. Those are great. And for the sake of this demo, we're going to do JRE8. See if I can find it this way. And here it is. So for this demonstration, we are going to internalize the Java 8 runtime package, and this is quite commonly used in development environments. So by internalizing this package, it will allow the Chocolatey, or it will allow Chocolatey to install the package even in an air-gapped environment. So we're going to click on the latest version of this. I'm going to get my GoToMeeting screen out of the way, and I'm going to download this package. So it is now downloaded to my machine. It's going to be in my download folders in just a second. So I downloaded that. The next step here is, again, because I already downloaded the installer files, right? We're going to go, and I don't need the slide deck, gotta go back to here. We're going to create an asset directory, okay? And since this is just going to be related to our Chocolatey feed only, hold on, there's a comment here. Someone told me that the demo's not showing. Ew, Windows 11. I don't make these decisions. Chocolatey assets. So obviously, because we're only working with Chocolatey in this demo, we want to, or in general, you might want to have a privatized feed for your Chocolatey assets versus your other assets you may have within your org. So I'm going to create that. So the directory is now empty, and I'm going to upload the files that I downloaded earlier, again, as a prerequisite. Those are in my download folder. Oh. And I'm going to add those in there. Yesterday was running a little slow. See how it goes today. So worth mentioning, while that's working, to internalize our packages, we need to save the installation files for JRE 8 on our ProGet server. So to do this, I created an asset directory, which allows us to upload any kind of file we want to our ProGet instance. So I've created one, I named it Chocolatey Assets, and we'll use this for all our Chocolatey related files. We need to use our package. So I have now uploaded, or I'm in the process of uploading these files. And so we'll now take the installation files needed by the JRE8 Chocolatey package and uploading them to the asset directory. Like I said, I already saved them in my hard drive, so I've done so. So once these are uploaded, I'm going to select both of them, and I'm going to look at these files, and I'm going to select the, in selecting them, you can see the URL of the location of each file in our ProGet instance. So I'm going to do this, scroll down to download this asset you can use here. So I'm going to copy it and pull up my trusty notepad and copy paste that here. I'm now going to go to this one, and I'm going to do the same, right? So I'm going to take this, go to my trusty notepad, and add that here. I'm doing that because I'm going to need those in just a moment, right? So we'll save these files for later, as we'll need when we edit our Chocolatey package. So now I'm going to my Files Explorer, and I'm finding this package. So right, I have located the download of JRE8 that I downloaded just a moment ago. So Chocolatey files, while given the file extension .nupkg, these are essentially archives of files. What I'm going to do here is rename our package file as a zip so I can extract them locally for editing. All right. Live theater here. Hopefully I don't make any mistakes. Okay. Yes, that's fine. Now I'm going to extract all of these. And none of these are important other than the new spec. And let me make sure I got this right. Tools. Yep, there's the install file. Okay, so I'm going to delete all of these items other than the new spec and the tools. Now I'm going to go into here. I'm going to open this, and you can see that, so let me just read off my demo script here. If we look at the script, you can see that there are two URLs that point to installation files that are located online. So that's here and that's here. What we're going to do is change them to the point of the two installation files that we've uploaded to the asset directory earlier. Those are the ones that I saved in my notepad just a moment ago. Now, when the package is used to install the Java 8 runtime, they will source from this location instead of online. And this way, our package will not allow us to install Java 8 runtime offline and not require connection or bandwidth access to the official source. So I'm pulling out my trusty notepad. Oh, I already have that. I have that here. I'm going to copy paste, and I'm going to replace the URL here. I was not born to be a surgeon. As you can see, I am, there we go. And then I'm gonna go to the, I always keep forgetting that I have the notepad here. And I'm going to, here. And so the UR64, we are replacing that. What I mean by I wasn't born to be a surgeon is I'm a little clumsy with my copy pasting. So, and my highlighting. So we're now going to save these, save this. And so as I mentioned, this way our package will allow us to install Java 8 runtime offline and not require connection or bandwidth. So I have now done that, and I'm now going to repackage these as a zip file. Or maybe I'm going to go into PowerShell. So I have Chocolatey installed here. I have already run this PowerShell here, but what I need to do is create, so I have that here in my local disk. I ran this PowerShell code based on these locations. I'm going to minimize that. I got that here. But what I need to do is create yet another feed, because what I have is my public Chocolatey, but I want to create another feed, and that is another Chocolatey feed. But this time it's going to be different. It's not connecting to chocolatey.org. No, there's no connectors at all. It's private packages only. So I'm going to label this internal Chocolatey. And I'm going to, we don't need to do that because it would have already been scanned for vulnerabilities, right? That's, part of the whole thing we did previously. So I'm now going to add this package from my disk. I ran the PowerShell code using Chocolatey installed. I have this. I'm going to update it, or upload it rather. I have now uploaded it. And now we, so just to really quickly step back to that feed I created, we're going to create another Chocolatey feed. It's one to host our internalized packages. It's a private feed for our internalized packages, so we won't need to add a connector. That's why I skipped that. We'll name it internal Chocolatey. I did that. Now we selected the package we just created to our newly created private feed, and I've now uploaded it. So we've uploaded it to our feed, and now the internalized package has been uploaded. It can be used to install Java 8 runtime from completely within our ProGet instance. This means that even in an air-gapped environment without an internet connection, the package can still be installed. So just to kind of really quickly recap our demo. So soup to nuts, what did we do? We downloaded an OSS package via a ProGet feed with a connector to chocolatey.org. We uploaded installation files to an asset directory to host internally. We extracted and modified files within the Chocolatey package to point to internally hosted files. We repackaged the files as an internalized Chocolatey package, and then we uploaded to a private Chocolatey feed in ProGet. So that is the end of the demonstration with regard to privatizing and internalizing Chocolatey packages. So with that, that brings us to the end of our webinar. A real quick about ProGet. It is a self-managed tool. You can download our very powerful free version at any time you want. We also have a 30-day trial that will show you all of the features for commercial intent. Inedo is a privately held software company. We make DevOps products that are designed with Windows in mind from the beginning, but we also do have support for Linux. We have users all over the world, and we're very proud of the fact that we have not taken on outside funding, and we exclusively base our roadmap and our product decisions based on the needs of our users, not from money men who want to 10x their investment and then get out. So with that, that's the end of our presentation today. I think we are a couple minutes early for our actual full hour. So if there are any questions or comments people want to make, feel free and I can address those. Like I said, we'll be sending out a couple recap emails after. We'll include the link to the recording, like a YouTube private link. And again, you can download a free version or a trial version of ProGet anytime and start to use this at any time you'd like. So with that, if there are any comments or questions, feel free to let me know and I'll do my best to answer them. Doesn't look like many questions are coming in. So with that, I have had a very busy day. Oh, well, it looks like a question. See, it looks like there's maybe a delay here. Would this work? Would this work? Would this work with the universal package feed as well? When you say would this work, what aspect of this do you mean? I guess is a question. Seems redundant to make a call. Sorry, I just want to make sure, Leroy. Can you clarify what this? Do you mean this process of privatizing and internalizing? I can definitely seek to do that as well. Seems redundant to make a call to a repo from an asset in another repo. Why not put the file directly in the package itself? Seems redundant to make a call repo to an asset in another repo. Why not put the file directly in? Wait, are you talking about the installation file, Brian? If so, I believe that is where you need to rely on the internet. The installation file would come from the broader internet, and if you have considerations like the rate limiting that Chocolatey has, so that traffic can be managed on their own site, that would be a reason to, again, to privatize and internalize, as being able to call from your own repository that you already have. So you're taking packages that you have privatized and internalized and use them for, so everyone can then use them at any time with an unlimited bandwidth, so to speak. Using the universal package feed versus the asset directory. I'm gonna, this might be a great forum post or something to follow up on. So the universal package feed, I mean, the essence of the universal package is that a universal package can be a full application as well as assets all zipped up. That versus using an asset directory, the specifics of why you would do one versus the other, not abundantly clear to me. I'm gonna say you probably could use the universal package feed for the exact same concept. But I think I'm gonna say probably most organizations, if they are using the universal package feed, probably have full products or applications that are packaged as a universal package, whereas assets tend to be smaller, not full applications or products, and so just different assets or things that are needed tend to be stored in there. I'm going to say you probably could use the universal package feed for exactly the same thing I just showed today, but again, many organizations, the universal package is it's like a full product, so it could just become like a bit of an admin headache if you don't have them separated. So hopefully that helps. I think that'd be an amazing forum post just to get a debate out there. Should I use an asset directory versus a universal package feed for this exact time purpose? I think that would be pretty cool if you'd be willing or able to post that in our forums. All right. Any other comments or questions? Ryan, hopefully that answered your question. If I understood the question to begin with, the whole purpose of why we were showing this is the idea that, again, you don't want to rely on calling out to the internet to access the packages at the time you need them. Well, cool. With that, I've already had a fairly long day today, and I am starving, and it seems like the questions have kind of come and gone. So we will be sending out the recording to this, as well as some other supplemental information. So thanks everyone for joining and your participation and letting me know when the screen share stopped working. That was unexpected. So thank you much, and we'll speak soon. Thanks a lot.